welcome back to a freshly squeezed episode of the Flow Skate. I am Sawyer Stinchfield. With me today is AJ and Spencer. And boys, my legs are jello. I played 5 roller hockey games yesterday.
That sounds miserable.
Damn.
I cannot
ambitious. It's ambitious.
I can. It was an Ironman tournament. So Spencer? Have you ever played an Ironman tournament?
Is that where you only have 4 players?
You only have 4, and you play 12 straight minutes. So there's no changes or anything. It's just the time starts and you play 12 minutes straight, and it's one game, and you just roll 4.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that.
That sounds like a young man's sport.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. And then I played in the top division. Obviously, we lost in the championship.
Obviously.
So we did. Yeah, it just had to throw that in there. But no, we did well. We lost in the championship. It was good. We did play a team. It's always funny when you because I started off playing roller hockey when I was a kid. That was like my main thing. I didn't play ice hockey till I was like 8 or 9, but maybe even later than that. But anyways, we played a team. One kid played in the NAHL juniors. One kid played Omaha Lancers, and then one kid played for Northern Michigan, and we smoked them because ice hockey players cannot play roller hockey.
They can't.
If you get a whole team of ice players playing roller hockey, they don't know how to play. It's like soccer, and they cannot force themselves to play slow.
I'm also like Luis Mendoza.
It's really hard
like
for them
Luis
to do.
Mendoza. I cannot stop on roller skates. I don't know what happens. My
Yeah, they
brain
can't
just
stop.
goes
They
to
can't.
mush, and I can't stop.
Yeah, it's a whole different. We smoked them. It's a whole different ball game. And that was one of the main things. Like they were just doing flybys because you could tell they had no clue that how to actually the difference in like the stop, which is it's completely different. If you try to stop like you do on ice skates, on roller skates, you're going to go sliding out. It's more of like a stomp than it is like a glide in. But yeah, no, it was fun. The other thing is, you guys see my wall behind me? When they tell you that shelves work with adhesive and it won't fuck your wall up, it fucks your wall up.
You put a shit.
They lied.
Stinchy, I could have told
Did
you
you
that.
glue the shelf to your wall?
No,
What adhesive did you
I got
use?
these shelves from. I got these shelves from Amazon, and it didn't come with screws. It came with this like acrylic adhesive things. And it said on there, and all the reviews were like, it didn't mess my wall up, blah, 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 blah. And I went and took them off yesterday because I'm moving out at the end of the week and fucked my wall up. Good thing my dad is a TV repairman and has the ultimate set of tools because it's not. That's, yeah.
You big dum-dum.
He's not
So you guys would have not used the
yourself.
adhesive.
No.
You guys would have not used the adhesive?
No.
Well, I wouldn't have bought shelves from Amazon to start.
I mean, I've done that. But...
Like, let's
Okay.
go back to the very
Yeah.
the first fuck up. But
Okay.
I think
Well, you know.
I don't know. I use command strips on shit all the time, but I would never put anything that had to leverage it on there. I'll put pictures
Yeah.
up with a command strip, but even then, if the frame is heavier than like half of what the 3M strip is rated for, then it's not safe. So,
Hey guys,
but
we're talking
what I'm
about
concerned,
me here.
I know, but what I'm more concerned about is how you took it down. Did
He
you
just
just
ripped
like
it down. You know, he just ripped it down.
rip it like you were like you came like you got a bad penalty in the third and you got put to the penalty box and you just like kicked it off the wall, or were you just like delicate and did you like try to pull the adhesive off? Because
I will be honest. The first one I just ripped, and then I said, "Oh God damn it!" The next 3 I tried to like slowly pull it apart. The problem was it's an apartment, so there have been so many layers of paint put on these walls that when I was trying to peel it apart, it was just peeling back all of the layers of paint with it. And then after that, I just
are you going to be able to match the paint?
I'm just going to patch them and they're obviously going to repaint it. They've clearly repainted it 17 times. So I'm just going to patch it and then move out and they can fucking paint it. That's on them.
Do you know?
Speaking
Do you
of
need to know how to patch it? Do you need help with patching it?
I,
You got me on the phone.
Bubble Boy, I got patches. I got
I don't need no
patches.
stinking patches.
But
Well,
speaking of needing some patching, yeah, I don't need no stinking patches. Um, Kyle Dubas needs patches, or I should say, the Toronto Maple Leafs need patches. They have fired Kyle Dubas as their general manager. We all saw this coming. The surprise to me is that Keith is still the head coach. I have no reason why they haven't just went ahead and let him go. Are they keeping him, Spencer?
Okay, and you're gonna have to remind me. Wasn't Dubas's contract up? So
Yes.
that's clearly they're just not renewing
Yeah,
it.
his
Whereas
contract
you
was up.
probably have to fire Keith and still pay him out. So that's probably something that still has to have a little more thought process gone through it. But I just can't imagine you keep Keith and fire Dubas. I think they both go.
Yeah, we would assume, right? I mean, to be honest with you, I thought Keefe was more of the problem than Dubas was, but I think all general managers, kind of take the fall for the trades and the moves that they make, which he took responsibility for. But Keefe is behind the bench. They're let down in games and all that stuff. That's on them completely, on him completely. So I don't know. AJ, what do you think? I mean, do you think they're keeping him, or they've got to let him go?
well, I think they're probably going to let him go, but I think what Spencer's saying has a lot to do with it, and it's like there's a lot of money that you have to pay to fire somebody and hire somebody new, and their new GM's going to have their own person. So I think he's probably just on like a
Yeah, to AJ's point, I think
very
they
very
probably
short
hire a
leash.
GM before they fire Keith because I think the GM should have a say in who they're going to rehire and who the
Yeah,
new guy
He's gonna
is.
bring in his own
Yeah.
guy. Yeah,
yeah.
okay. No, that
Unless
actually makes more sense.
unless there was like unless there was some back office deal to keep Keith in place and have a new GM that they've already got in mind. But I don't see that happening. I think it'd probably be he's just there until the new GM comes in, and the new GM
So
has a new
I've got
coach.
some possibilities on general managers that they're going to bring in. Here are some possibilities. Obviously Brad Treliving, who was just let go this year from the Calgary Flames. He was there for basically 10 years. He is, I would say, what everyone would consider the top candidate for that position. But there's some other names being thrown around, and one of them is Jason Botterill, the former general manager of the Buffalo Sabres. And I think that would be fucked because he was behind the wheel of fucking over the Jack Eichel situation. He was the general manager in which would not let Jack Eichel get the surgery that he wanted to get, which clearly was the correct decision. And because he's playing lights out for Vegas right now, he's back to like a good form. I don't know why you would want somebody who did that kind of a fuck job to come in and try to fix your franchise. But that's a name being thrown around. Spencer, two other names. One is Ray Whitney, and one is Jason Spezza, who, after retiring the year before last, spent all last year as kind of Dubas's second in command. I kind of like either of those two. I think what
I
would
like
I think
Spessa
to
a
be
lot,
honest with you,
actually.
I'm tired of I'm tired of the constant carousel of the same general managers and the same head coaches. Get some new faces, get some new ideas in here, and I think Ray Whitney and Jason Spezza are two names that are really intriguing.
I like the idea of ex-players coming in as GMs, especially guys that played within the past, 10 years maybe. I think they understand today's game.
Chris Drury.
They understand today's player, but they also understand the business side because they've seen where the NHL has grown in the past 10 years, where it's kind of, on the trajectory to go if, they can make some better decisions in the front office of the NHL. That's a different conversation for a different time. But I just like the idea of ex-players stepping in rather than, like you said, this old carousel of GMs just moving from city to city.
So you said Spencer was the number two to Dubas.
Yeah, there was another guy, but it was kind of like Spezza
Was he
was
the
their
assistant
apprentice, and
GM or
they were
was he
really
like an
trying to show
advisor?
him the
So
ropes.
So that
He
kind
was
of
the assistant to the assistant GM. He was Dwight Schrute. Spezza was the Dwight Schrute of the Toronto Maple Leafs front office last year. But, I mean, when
so
you
that
look at how, I mean, I'm just going to throw the analogy out there. When you look at how the office ended, Schrute ended up with everything.
yeah.
So, I
So
mean,
that's why.
Spezza could actually end up being the guy.
Well, and that kind of leads to what I said a minute ago is unless they already have somebody in mind to like if Keith makes sense to stay there and they already have a GM in mind who has a similar vision and they just needed to have a scapegoat and Dubas was the scapegoat and they just not renew his contract, they could have as much continuity there as possible. Because as hard as it is to admit that there's something wrong with Toronto right now, um, there's something wrong, but they have a lot of talent, and it could just be that they didn't have the right guy pulling the strings.
I
So
think if they bring
I
maybe
Spezza
they
think
have
in,
that's
Keefe is
100%.
gone
I think that's 100% what it
automatically.
is.
If Spezza
Yeah.
comes in, he played for Keefe,
I think whoever they bring in.
but he even played for him, so he's definitely out.
Yeah, I think whoever they bring in. Um, so we'll move into the open NHL coaching positions because now there are 5. Daryl Sutter's out of Calgary. Gerard Gallant was the most recent. He is out with New York. Dallas Eakins is out with the Ducks, and Peter Laviolette is out with the Capitals. So there are 5 open positions, or 4 open. Yeah, is that 5? 4, 5? Yeah. Anyways, we got a lot of open positions for coaches. I can't do math. We all know this. But here are some names being thrown out for all of those teams. And Spencer, we talked about one, which is Steve Ott. Andrew Burnett, Devils assistant. Some people forget when he took over for Joe Quenneville, he led them to that President's Trophy. I mean, yeah, they ended up shit in the bed, but he was the hand behind that really, really good season for them. And I think he really felt like he should have gotten, a lot of people felt like he should have got that Florida full-time position over Maurice, but Maurice has proved to be the guy, apparently. There's one, Spencer. There's a guy in Toronto, apparently, named Spencer Carberry, who is apparently very, very hot and very well sought after. He is the 2021 AHL Coach of the Year. So that's a young name kind of being thrown around. I've never heard of the guy, but that's one. Another one is Travis Green, former head coach for the Canucks, which the missing curfew guys would love him in Anaheim, and I actually think he'd be a really good fit for that young Anaheim team down there. And then last name that's kind of been thrown around on that big list is Jeff Blashill, former Red Wings head coach, who is currently an assistant with Tampa Bay. I like any of those names because they are not the same names that we've been seeing year in and year out.
I agree. I like all those names. So a couple other names that I've heard too. So Jay Leach, he's the current Seattle assistant. I hear that name a lot. And then,
yes.
So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is Mason's guy, Ryan Worofsky. Isn't that his buddy that's the assistant in San Jose right now?
Yeah, it is. I think
so.
Yeah.
Those guys have both kind of put in their
Mason's
time.
Guy.
I think
the fact that Mason, hold on, no, pause. The fact that Mason has a fucking guy in the NHL behind a goddamn bench is insane.
No, absolutely. But we have to, give credit where credit's due. But I like all of those names. I think Otter and Greener definitely get a job somewhere. I really like Andrew Burnett because I think he kind of got scapegoated out of Florida. I was in the camp of thinking he should have gotten hired. I think he did a great job when he stepped in for Quenneville. And I think he just kind of got the short end of the stick and got shipped out. And that the fact that he didn't get all the way out of the league and was able to get an assistant coaching job that quickly kind of shows you what people think of him. But so I have a question for you, and I know he's still on the no-fly list for the NHL, but what about Joel Quenneville? For either a coaching vacancy or a GM vacancy?
I wouldn't. Here's my thing, and I've thought about this a lot, right? There's certain things that to me, that me personally, I can't forgive. And blatantly covering up a sexual assault.
I agree, but they just gave Chicago the number one pick.
People have to remember I understand that, but there's nobody left in Chicago who had any
I
part of
know.
that. It's the ownership, but ownership was complete. Like after the investigation was completely done, it was proven that ownership was completely blind to everything that was going on there. So Rocky and the Wirtzes are really the only people left there from that had anything to do with that. And I think, listen, is he one of the best coaches of all time? Yes. Did he cover up a sexual assault? Yes. I mean that like there has to be a line that we draw, and I think a coach who, like the old Calgary coach who made racist comments to Akeem Aliu, that you can't have that in your league and you can't allow him back. Like that's where we have to draw the line, and I think where we also have to draw the line is something like rape. One of your players was raped and you knew it happened and you specifically told people not to talk about it because you wanted to win a Stanley Cup over helping a young man on your team that you're supposed to care about and supposed to have he's supposed to be safe under your watch no matter how old he is. So I to me personally, I don't think you can, and I would personally judge any team that brought him in. That is me
Hot
personally.
take from Stinchy.
Well, didn't Bettman just meet with him and say that he can't
it's
have
me
him
being
anyways? So it's a non-issue.
you,
Bettman already met with him. I think it was this week and said
you
that
know
he hasn't done enough to be back in the NHL yet, anyways. So I
Yeah,
don't
it's
think
a
it's
mute
even
point
a
because he's on the
possibility
no
this
fly
part of
year.
it
list.
maybe
But
me being a coach. Yeah, and no, it's a good point to bring up. And I know he has, like AJ said just now, he has had discussions, and I don't think they went anywhere.
No,
And
they
I
didn't.
think
They ended
I
with
think
him
that's what it
saying,
is. I think
"Yeah,
it would be a
do more."
very
I mean,
bad look.
well, so here's the
Yeah,
thing. I have a problem with saying you're done forever. I believe in second chances. I believe in redemption. Now, what I also have a problem with is everything that you outlined. I agree with. I'd like rape is terrible. It's a terrible fucking thing. Uh, that being said, I think that there needs to be a path to redemption. When you get arrested, you go to prison. There's a path to redemption right now. You do your time after go through the court system, and you can come back and be a regular citizen. That job, you can still go get a job. Now you're going to be looked at with higher scrutiny. That being said, the meeting that happened with Bedeman basically said, hey, man, you haven't done enough off the court to prove that you've reformed or that you would do anything if this situation arose again. So I think that I kind of align with the NHL in a rare Bedeman win of like, hey, man, there has to be a situation for like people make mistakes, and this was a series of terrible, terrible, terrible things that took place, and you have to be able to come back from that at some point. Otherwise, we continue to perpetuate a terrible um, justice system that's not really fair
yeah,
to
I'm
humanity.
going with AJ on. I think I agree with AJ on this one.
I
Yeah.
agree. No. I also agree, but like AJ said, I have
No.
not seen
Mm-mm.
anything out of him
Yeah,
other
no,
than public
we're
apologies
100% there,
that he has done anything
and
to
that was
try to
just a
redeem
PR. That
himself
was a PR
for
stunt.
that. And here's the thing. There's a big difference in you knowing that one of your coaches raped one of your players. You knowingly didn't walk down the hallway and not just fire him, but probably choke him out, right? Which would have been warranted. Okay, there's a big difference between that and a guy like Jim Montgomery having an alcohol problem, right? Like
Well,
that,
yeah,
I'm
but that's
okay with
not.
that. Like that's a path to redemption I like to see, and that's a path to redemption that like I think a lot of people like to see. The path to redemption after you cover up a rape is very hard to come back from.
Well, that's fine, but there still needs to be a path to redemption. There's like it can be as steep as you want to make it. I agree with you. It's definitely different, and I think that even, even comparing the two is intellectually dishonest. Uh, but I think that there needs to be a path to redemption. It doesn't matter how steep it is. I think that we agree that it's a different case completely. But I think that saying that there's no chance for him to come back in the NHL ever is beyond. Uh, I mean, look at what
No,
happened with
it,
the NFL, and we have people who've literally killed people who are now in the Hall of Fame on TV almost every Sunday. So like
There you
to
go.
say that there's no, so it to me is beyond like understanding of today to say that something like that.
Okay, I will change. I will. Okay, so no, you've made a good point. I will. I'm not taking back my take, but I will say this: I would never allow him to be behind a bench, and I would never allow him to be in charge of player personnel. If he wanted to be a special advisor to a general manager or to somebody in the front office in an advisory role, after he has done way more to prove to me that he has changed and that he is actually remorseful for the things that he did during that time, that's different.
Right.
But I will stand by my take on no matter what he does, I do not think he should ever be in charge or be over the safety of young hockey players that we continuously see are getting younger and younger
I can
every
agree with
year.
that. And
So
I want to be
that's
very clear. I am not defending him. Like I think he is a piece of shit.
AJ
But I do
AJ
think I do believe in
AJ
basic human
disavows
rights.
rape. AJ disavows rape. He wants everybody.
I do believe
He
in
disavows.
basic human rights and
Disavow.
redemption.
So let's get into the games. Let's get into the games. Carolina and Florida. Game 2 was last night. The motherfucking Rat King with 2 literal walk-offs in both fucking games. This kid is unreal. I can't wait to watch Kachuk play for. Now when we play him, now when like Dallas or a team I like plays him, I hate him, but that's because he's me. The fucking Rat King, man. What a goddamn. What does Carolina do?
You have to
Well,
stop them.
Bobrovsky's been hot as shit too.
You got to stop.
I'd
Yeah.
like to call back to.
But is it's goaltending?
Yeah, Bobrovsky's been hot as shit. I told you on like episode 2 that Bobrovsky was going to get hot this offseason.
So the save he made on Teravainen in the second period last night on the back door with the blocker, that was the kid. They won in overtime on 1 goal. That was literally the catalyst. Game 1, the 6th longest game in NHL history. 4 overtimes, 139 minutes and 40 seconds of playing time.
Yeah, no thanks. I'd be exhausted.
That is insane.
That's nuts. That game, I mean, people were falling asleep at the rink.
I was asleep. I didn't make it. I
didn't make it.
It was like halfway through, I think the second overtime, I was like nodding off, and I did not. I'll be honest, I did not.
I had a men's league game that almost transpired in the course of overtime.
I didn't make it at all.
Yeah,
I just went to sleep.
Fun fact about that game, though, it was 1 minute away, 1 minute of overtime away from breaking into the top 5 longest games of all time. The number 1 top 5 longest game of all time was in 1936, the Detroit Red Wings versus the Montreal Maroons. It went to 6 overtimes for 176 minutes and 30 seconds played. The second longest was 1933, the Boston Bruins versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. That was also 6 overtimes for 164 minutes and 46 seconds of playing time. The third was in 2000, and that was the Flyers versus the Penguins. That was 5 overtimes at 152 minutes and 1 second of playing time. The fourth was very recent, if we remember, and that was the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2020 in the bubble. That was 150 minutes and 27 seconds of playing time. And then the fifth longest, which was 1 minute longer, almost exactly 1 minute longer than Game 1 in Florida, was 2003. The Mighty Ducks beat the Dallas Stars in 5 overtimes at 140 minutes and 48 seconds of playing time. That's fucking insane.
And I don't know. I have a tough time with this one. And I'm going to bring up the Scott question because I think it can be talked about of not adjusting all the overtimes to 4-on-4. I do say that it needs to be 5-on-5. But after after maybe 2 overtimes, it just feels like there's a shift. In the first 2 overtimes, it does feel like both teams still want to win the game. But after 2 overtimes, it just feels like neither team wants to lose the game. And it just starts getting really slow. It becomes kind of a snooze fest. That's when you see kind of the poopy goal get popped in. So I'm almost in the court of after a 2 overtime, you go to a 4-on-4 and just get it done.
After 2 overtimes, just go to bare knuckle boxing.
Here's how you could do it. You want to make it exciting? You do the first overtime is 5-on-5. The second overtime is 4-on-4. Any overtime after that goes straight to 3-on-3.
Then 2-on-2, 1-on-1.
I just want to see 2 overtimes at 5-on-5.
No, it just stays at.
And then yes.
It just stays, I don't think you could change. I think if you're going to change it, you have to do one. Like you have to. So when I was growing up playing AAA, we played several tournaments where they would do it that way, where it would be a 10-minute overtime, but at the 7-minute mark, it would go to 4-on-4, and then at the 4-minute mark, it would go to 3-on-3. And it was the same reason, right? They didn't want every single overtime game to go the 10-minute length because then people would be there all day. But when you think about it, AJ, if
I was a kid, yeah,
it would speed it up. I mean,
if I'm watching the NHL and I'm playing in the NHL,
is it a problem?
I don't think it's a problem. You just named 6 teams.
But are the length of these games are a problem? It's not like
and that's
baseball.
what I'm saying.
No,
it's not a problem.
I don't think it's a problem.
A rule.
No, I don't think it's a problem in general because it's happened 3 times in the last 25 years or 20 years. You said or 4 times since 2000. It's happened. Like there's 82 games a year, and then the entire playoffs. Yeah. It is not a problem. Like, sorry, Scott, find something else to complain about.
Oh, he'll find something.
I know. Like, I love you, Scott, but this is not the hill to die on. Like, I get it. It sucks. I hear what you're saying, Spencer, but like, can you imagine playing in the NHL and being in the playoffs and making it to the, like, say it's a game 7 and you're in overtime 3 and suddenly you're down to 4 skaters and it's like a technicality almost. Like, it's the same complaint that everybody has during the regular season about overtime now. Play 5-on-5, give it your all.
The people bitching about changing it right now.
Just play better.
The people bitching about changing it right now. If you changed it and they lost a game. No, I get it. No, I agree. But the people who want to change it right now, if their team lost a game in overtime that way, they'd be fucking rattled.
Oh, they'd be so pissed.
They'd be like, fuck this. This is the dumbest shit in the world when they were the ones that wanted it. So we can't win either way.
It's just like, it just makes sense. It's just an extension of the game. Like, anytime you try to change, it's a different game if you change the rules a little bit. And if you change the rules inside the game, same thing with why baseball is funky now. But if you change, like NFL, everybody hates the NFL. I'll keep going back to it. Everybody hates the NFL overtime rules. They just changed them. But how else, like Tim Tebow makes that touchdown. The Steelers were the better team. The Steelers would have had a chance to beat the Patriots if they made it past the Broncos. But the Broncos didn't stand a chance.
No,
and it's all because of stupid technicality.
I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah, overtime is
keep
fine.
it 5-on.
You know what? At least it's not international hockey.
I'm okay with it. I don't.
At least it's not international hockey.
International?
That's what I say. So you can't win the Stanley Cup in a shootout. So at least we'll never get to that point.
Yeah, that's a joke.
Yeah.
And that's exactly my
Spencer,
point.
fuck you.
That's exactly
Spencer, fuck you. Many people have actually texted me and said fuck you as well. But also fuck ESPN. Stop calling them the VGKs.
Yeah, what the hell?
And I say fuck you, Spencer, because I had never heard it. It never made it never clicked in my mind until you pointed it out to me, and now it's all I fucking hear, and it makes me want to put my head through a wall.
Once you hear it, you can't unhear it.
ESPN is trash.
It's so bad. It's so bad. The VGK are going on the power play. The VGK heading into the period with the lead. It's the dumbest shit in the world.
It's probably bothering you extra.
Who?
Because you're just fuming.
No, it's not. It's just, so here's the thing. Here's the thing with that series. It's clearly very evenly matched. It's going to go back and forth. I do think I still think we are the better team. We came off a tough. That Seattle series wasn't like physical, but it was fast.
Seattle pisses me
off.
And
the boys had to wheel for. The boys had to wheel for. The boys had to wheel.
It was
for
emotional
7 games.
For sure.
Vegas looked like they had a very. Vegas looked like they had a very almost easy series against Edmonton, who turned out to be complete frauds.
Paper tiger.
So when you're coming off a game 7, Vegas had all that rest. We came out kind of fast, like we were kind of matched their pace, and then you tell we just slowed way down. But we also showed again that we're never really out of a game. So there's that too. Fuck you, Janello. I'll say we all I want. I got a buddy who keeps texting me, stop saying we. You're not on the team. Fuck you. I've devoted my whole life to this team, 23 years. I've played the game. I'll say we. Suck me. But yeah, they've also lost. Here's the thing. Here's why I'm also comfortable. We've lost game one in overtime in both series up to this point. Yeah. It's literally the same storyline every game one for us. And so it doesn't bother me too much. It's almost like I'm used to it at this point. I almost didn't expect to win game one. But which means every game two is a must win. You have
which helps. I mean, Ottinger comes back every time and wins after a loss. So yeah, I think this series it's so evenly matched. All it's going to come down to is which goalie can keep the puck out of their net. I think Dallas has got the edge on that one. I also find it very strange that Kessel is just continually getting healthy scratch.
Must not have any hot dogs in Vegas right now.
I mean,
very strange to me. I think he could absolutely help them in some way, shape, or form.
So is he hurt and they're just healthy scratching?
I can't answer that.
That's why I have not, for this entire playoffs, I have not rid Robertson the way people in Dallas have been riding him for not performing. Mm-hmm. He looks hurt. I would not be surprised if whenever they get eliminated, whether it's winning the Stanley Cup or before, if it comes out that says he's got like a broken foot or he's got like some kind of like herniated something. He doesn't have the extra jump to get around defenders wide like he normally does. He's one of the fastest skaters in the NHL.
Yeah, he looks a little off,
which tells me he's got to be injured. But the good thing is he did get the monkey off his back. It wasn't like a big dangle Jason Robertson goal. It was a tip in, just go to the net, but he got the monkey. It probably felt really good for him just to get that one in because of all the pressure that's been around him for not performing like he did in the regular season. He's hurt. I'm convinced of that. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's pushing through something that's most likely normal people would be on their couch in a cast-in. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think he looks a little off, but yeah, at least he got the goal, so at least people can shut up a little bit. But
I do think Dallas takes the series in the long run. I think it goes 7. I do think Dallas takes it. I think the series does go 7. I think we win it in 7. And I think it's going to be the Florida Panthers and the Dallas Stars in the Stanley Cup final, and that's fun. That'd be a good series.
I would like. I mean, with all the weirdness that has gone on in the Stanley Cup Finals, I would actually be okay with that.
I think Florida's going to be there.
Think about the hockey markets.
I think Florida's going to be there. I don't want
You've
Dallas.
Got Dallas and Miami.
Yeah, I don't want Dallas or Vegas to be there because I'm an Avs homer. But if I have to choose between the two, I'd rather have Dallas, and I think it's going to be Dallas and Florida, and it hurts me. But I also think Florida's unstoppable right now. So,
yeah, they seem to have found a different gear.
Yeah, they look hot.
And if Bobrovsky plays like he's been playing,
right there's
nothing you can do.
Bobrovsky versus Ottinger would be a very fun goalie duel.
Be awesome.
It kind of like the veteran versus the young up and comer who's like really solidified himself as one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. That's a really, really fun goalie matchup. If that's how it plays out. If Vegas wins, I want whoever comes out of the East to fucking smash them.
Yeah, they can sweep them.
Smash them.
If it was possible to win in one game, I'd want that to happen. Like, I hate Vegas.
Sweep the VGKs. Fucking VGKs. And I still think they're frauds, and they've made it all the way to the Western Conference Final. I still think they're fucking frauds.
They're just so boring.
And I still think they're frauds. That's how much of frauds I think they are.
Fun. It's like they spend so much time and production value on the stupid pregame stuff. Like, God, I hate you, Vegas.
I do like medieval times.
Yeah. I am happy that Eichel's finally getting a chance.
Do you have to eat with your fingers there? Yeah, no, I like Jack. I like Jackie because he's American and he fucks. I just want him to lose. That's all. I don't dislike him. I just want him to lose. Who do you guys got in that series?
Dallas.
Gun to your head. 1, 2, 3.
Dallas.
Yeah.
I don't.
All three of us.
But I don't think.
Let's go,
if
boys.
they play Florida, I don't think they have what it takes to beat Florida, and I'll say that 1,000 times.
speaking from true hockey perspective of a fan, if it's at Dallas, Florida, that series does scare me just because of the way Florida's playing. And I know for a fact Matthew Tkachuk would run wild out there.
Well, and they're so hungry.
And again,
right? They're so
other
hungry.
than Jamie Benn, and Sam Bennett's gonna run somebody from behind, take a 1-game suspension for the team. It's not going to end up, you know what I mean? Like it's just the way they play the game. So that series does scare me a little bit. Do I think we would have the team to beat them? Yes, 100%. Otherwise, we wouldn't be there.
I think you would, but I don't know.
We had the team to beat Tampa.
I think Robertson
when
needs
we
to
lost
be
in 6 in the bubble, but
Robertson needs to be healthy if you're going to beat Florida.
That's a tough one. All of Florida seems to be healthy, and all of Florida seems to be buzzing. Not one of their top guys seems like he's in any kind of ailment. Which is a very, very key for your team. So we'll see on that.
I hope
we all three got. Who do you guys have in the others? Do you guys are we all on Florida? Are we all on Florida?
I like first time winners.
Yeah.
They're a fucking wagon. They're a fucking wagon. So I'm on. We're all three on Florida. We're all three on Dallas. Florida, Dallas. If Carolina would have won that game last night, it would have made it hard for me to pick in my mind just because of how fast Carolina plays. But when that team comes in and beats you at home 2 games and they do 2 walk-offs, when Tkachuk does 2 walk-offs down the hallway like that, that's tough. That's a tough one.
They've got the juice.
That's tough to come back from. I do think they sneak 1 in Florida.
It's not a sweep. It's absolutely not a sweep. But they've got something going.
The juice is loose.
That room.
I like, as much as I wish Paulie Walnut's the best, like, sorry, dude, you're not getting past Florida.
Florida should do the same thing that Carolina did and get a bunch of people from like actors from Carolina to do cameos for them. That would be great. Well, that's all we got to talk about today, boys. We got 4 teams left. We're all on the Florida train. We are all on the Dallas train. Will be interesting to see the coaching hires that happen when they happen. It'll be interesting to see some of these general managers get moved around, if anybody else gets canned. And it'll be interesting to see who Brendan Shanahan really brings in. Like Spencer and I talked about, we like to see ex-players come in, like a guy like Chris Drury, and kind of shake things up a little bit. So we'll see what happens on all that front. But that is the Flow Skate. We will catch you next time. Everybody have a great rest of your weekend. We'll catch you next time.